Namaste. My name is Dishita Solanki, and I'll be your host for the conference today. Welcome to ICCS's 7th International Conference and Gathering of the Elders, bringing together over 30 ancient cultures onto one platform from all over the world to inspire, instruct, and inform how to build a sustainable civilization in the 21st century through championing humanity. We have practitioners of ancient traditions, activists, and well wishers, and thought leaders contributing to 26 hours of content spread over the next 2 days. This is the first virtual conference by ICCS with over 650 people registered from all over the world across 3 different time zones. International Center for Culture Studies, ICCS for short, was set up 25 years ago. It's run by volunteers from across the world, and it aims to give a voice and a platform to ancient traditions from around the world. We have centers in India, Indonesia, East Africa, Europe, USA, and Cambodia. We set up this conference every 3 years. I'd like to especially welcome you to the Indo-Pacific part of the conference for the next 3 hours. I'd like to introduce Professor Amarjeevji Lochan, who is the lead for Indo-Pacific region. Amarjeevji teaches at University of Delhi and is a dean there for international relations. He's a foreign students advisor of the university, and Professor Lochan also serves Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Culture and Education Ministry in various capacities. He looks into the issues of Indian diaspora, Indic elements in Southeast Asia, and Buddhism. Over to you, Professor.
Namaste, Dishtaji.
Namaste.
This is a great honor for me. I offer my all respect to Adhikaris. I am full of memory of the first ICCS event which happened 2003. Yashwanji Pathak, Shekharji Patel, and I salute Ramji Vaidya, Shyamji Parande, Mani Anilji Vartak, and all ICCS team in UK, USA, working for last 2 months, day and night. It is a great occasion for us to see the world joining together. Today we are joining with people from all continents in the world, and I'm so happy. So good morning, good evening, and late good evening to all of you. This is a platform, as rightly said by Dishitaji, that International Center for Cultural Studies, originating in India, Nagpur, has now gone beyond so many continents. And ICCS USA, especially under the presidency of Shekharji Pathak, is doing so great. We are finding a great energy and working for that. We are standing fully behind, side by side with all ancient traditions which has been suffering and at the verge of extinct condition. We are very much sure the commonality and the relationship of our own ideas, ethos, and values, which are very much ingredient of our own DNA, would be very much influenced by our own wisdom. Today, the world has a challenging situation. Humanity is inhuman. We are having situation where life has no value. Old values are just discreted to be no use. But now in the last many decades, we have seen our ancestors' values of their ideas and ideals have become important to us for our life's long sustenance, and the goal of sustenance can be only achieved through all our ancient traditions, which has been dotting the entire globe. Today, as we see, International Center for Cultural Studies, which is, as I said to you earlier, started first conference with all Council of Elders and people from all around the world in 2003 in Mumbai. We are now 7 times older. This is the seventh conference which we are organizing. Unfortunately, we could not do together in physical, in-person mode in India because we have been doing all this event every 3 years in India, getting all of them coming together, watch their rituals, watch their chantings, watch their values, which added to our life in many ways. I'm sure that the ICCS would really serve the goal of United Nations when they talk about saving the life of original people. We can call them by different names, but they are our real ancestors in every sense. Today, what we are is only because of them, and their values are more important to us. In this novel coronavirus pandemic, we do need them more. We need you all so much that you can see how traditional medicines, how traditional values of food habits have saved millions and millions of lives in this part of Asia or other parts of the world where the traditional families values have been dominant. We have seen how the plants, how the stories about the plants, how the stories of children to learn about their ancestors have helped them to be together. This was a boon in the bad time of pandemic that we could understand the value what we share together. I am sure that today's beginning of International Center for Cultural Studies 7th International Conference across the globe would bring us to a platform where we can share and protect ourselves, save our heritage, save our nature, save our humanity. We have to champion our humanities only by these values, by these traditional leaders, those who have helped us in surviving, and they will now lead us to a better, flourishing life. I'm sure with the aim of these ICCS standing for all the traditions, more than 400 in the world. We are together. We are one family. We follow the old logo of Indian psyche, which is called Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The world is our family, and this familyhood would continue, shall continue by all means. And I'm sure this is going to be a perfect 2 days continuous program on different timing zone in different times to see and watch our families talking. The commonality, formality of no gap between would be seen. I am very, very glad to have this inaugural speech for this ICCS. I'm very, very happy about that. All of you have joined together live from many parts of the world. Thank you. Thank you, Rishika ji. And now, as, as the moon and the sun rises every day in our sky, our ICCS event today starts from the beginning of the sky, which we see in New Zealand. Now we are going to New Zealand to have our relatives, Maoris, coming up, though they are having now evening in our morning and mid noon. I'm sure Maori tradition cannot be forgotten for their contribution and strong belief in their life system. And I have seen them so much in different conferences and different gatherings of ours. Maoris have been great to uh, put a value in our life. And this Maori tradition, as you know, is very important part of the entire New Zealand. And among us today, we have Reverend Bhanaji. She will be talking about the values system of Maori worldview, and they will be joining with traditional moko kawe and musical instrument with George Radai and Tracy Mahia. Over to New Zealand. Welcome. Namaste, Maori.
I ngā mana, i ngā reo, i ngā kārangaranga maha o te motu, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Nau mai, haere mai ki tēnei hui whakahirahira, i roto hoki i tēnei rohe o Aotearoa. Nō reira ke te mihi a hau ki a koutou katoa, e mātakitaki ana i tēnei o ngā kaupapa kai kōrero mō ngā inia, ngā iwi inia, me ngā iwi katoa putanoi te motu. Nō reira huri noa tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora everybody and welcome along to this conference. Of course, it is the ICCS 7th International Conference, and on behalf of the organising committee, as a tangata whenua, a person of this land, we would like to extend a warm welcome to all those who are participating in this conference over the next few days. We are, of course, all Indigenous, and the person on my right, Raewyn Barner, is obviously an Indian Māori, and of course, she is one of the coordinators of this grouping of Māori Indian that are actually living here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. So on behalf of the organising committee, kei te mihi atu nei kia koutou katoa, nō reira tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. It is always cultural for us to actually lead in a waiata, a song of our country, and this is the waiata, the song that we're going to be singing to you today. E honore, e koroia, mangaro mo ki te whenua. Whakaro, ai e, ki ngā tangata katoa. Ake ake, ake ake, te atua, te pirima, tōku oranga. E honore, e koroia, mangaro mo ki te whenua. Whakaro, ai e, ki ngā oranga. E honore, e koroia, mangaro mo ki te whenua. Whakaro, ai e, ki ngā tangata katoa. Ake ake, ake ake, amine. Te atua, te pina, tōku oranga. Tōku oranga. Tōku oranga. Nō reira, mai ngā mana whenua o Aotearoa ki a koutou katoa, ke te mihi atu nei ki a koutou anō, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. E raurangatira mā tēnā koutou katoa. George Ngātai tēnei e whakapaho atu nei ki a koutou mai te rohe o Aotearoa me ki e mihi atu nei ki a koutou katoa e mātakitaki ana I tēnei o ngā kaupapa. Kia ora everybody. I'm George Ngātai and I'm pleased to actually be here, coming to you of course live from Aotearoa, New Zealand. And as an Indigenous person from this country, it is my pleasure to be part of the Ancient Culture Champion Humanity, the ICCS 7th International Conference and Gathering of Elders. This is something that we've been part of for quite some time. And of course, my opportunity to be part of this and to talk about the cultural history of Māori, Indigenous people of New Zealand, is a pleasure for myself and of course our organisation. Navigation for Māori has actually been something that we've been quite used to. Of course, over 700 years ago, we navigated the Pacific via various waka or canoes. And of course, those canoes today would actually be seen in the form of vehicles. And of course, if you're looking at different forms of waka, Māori have assimilated to utilising today's transportation in terms of what our ancestors used to use in the past. There have been many changes that we've had to get used to over the many years, of course, that colonisation actually came to our country. And one of the things that we've maintained is things like pōhiri. Pōhiri is, of course, welcome. And the process of the pōhiri for Māori has probably not really altered since it was actually introduced by our mātua tupuna, our ancestors. The process of the pōhiri, or welcome, is to ensure that those that are coming into your environment are actually coming in peace. They are coming to actually negotiate. They are coming to actually be part of a culture that you, as mana whenua, as tangata whenua, have actually set out. Now, the process for the pōhiri has been performed many a decade, and of course for Māori, that hasn't changed too much. In fact, the process for pōhiri from our perspective for the welcome is that a kaikaranga, or a female caller, will actually play an important part in that process from a cultural point of view, because female represent, of course, the peace of a iwi, a tribe, and a hapu, a sub-tribe, or even whānau, is actually quite key in the process of the pōhiri itself. So a karanga will actually be done, and that karanga will be done predominantly by a female. The respondent on the other side that has been welcomed onto the marae ātea, or the battling ground, they call that tūmatauenga, the battling ground of Māori, is actually done via that process. So a karanga is performed, a call is performed, and the respondent would actually respond in that kaikaranga themselves. From that, of course, the two parties will actually come together. There's what is called a mihi whakatau, or a mihi which will be a greeting or a discussion in today's language. The first host organisation, or host iwi, host tribe, will actually stand and of course perform a first mihi itself. Now, there are two different types of what we call kawa, or protocols, that will take place. It's tū mai tū atu, or tau utu utu. Now, that there would either be all of the host whānau family will actually speak first, and then the respondents will actually speak next. Or it'll be one speaker from the host and one speaker from the guests. And so, therefore, conversation will take place over this period of time. Normally, the first speaker, the kai kōrero tuatahi, is actually from a marae perspective as being a rangatira, a leader. He will actually set the topic and, of course, the discussion for that process. And it's all done in te reo Māori, which is our Indigenous language. The respondent on the other side will likely take note of what has been said and will respond accordingly. Now, if it is done, all of the host whānau, of course, tangata whenua, will speak first. They get to lay out the platform of that discussion. The respondents, of course, which will be classed as your manuhiri or visitors, will actually respond accordingly. So if you actually have a tū mai tū atu, the host will speak first, and of course the respondents will speak, and it'll go speaker for speaker across the marae ātea, or the battlefield. Now, those discussions will actually take place over a period of time. And while that is actually happening, it would be classed as, of course, what we would actually say as tapu. So therefore, both those discussions and those conversations are actually quite sacred during that period of time. What normally happens after each speaker is that there would be what is classed as a waiata. And of course, if you saw the welcome process, we did sing a waiata along the way. And of course, that there would actually be classed as a support song to endorse the speaker on both sides, whether you're tangata whenua, people of the land, or manuhiri, the visitors that are coming to transfer conversation. Once it actually has finished, of course, then there's an opportunity, what we call hongi. Now, hongi is the pressing of noses, but that there is actually just to solidify the conversation that has taken part between the tangata whenua, the host people, and of course the manuhiri, which are the visitors. Once that's actually done, then there is a form of noa, or the sacredness is actually taken away. But that's not confirmed until we actually go through what is called a kaihakari, or sharing of food. Once that sharing of food is actually done, then of course the host people are no longer actually hosts. They're part of what you would actually call the marae itself, the gathering of people themselves. And of course, this process has happened over the many decades, as I have actually said previously. Today, those discussions, those protocols, those kawa, the tikanga that we actually perform today is certainly tikanga that was actually performed decades before by our ancestors, by our mātua tūpuna. And of course, the process for that is what we actually call a pōhiri or whakatau, a welcome, or of course a sharing of words. Those are still practiced today. Some of those protocols, some of those, the tikanga and the kawa themselves have actually changed in accordance to the years that have gone by. However, the majority of that process is still actually being adhered to today. There have been many colonized ways of making change to that process, whereby this process predominantly is done by male speakers, because the marae ātea and of course tūmatauenga was where the battle tended to happen. So therefore, men were classed as being the opportune people to actually participate in that mihi whakatau, the changing of discussion throughout the pōhiri process. Today, that has actually had some changes. In fact, more of the female have actually started to want to speak during this process. Of course, that depends on the tangata whenua themselves, the host people, to decide whether or not it is possible for various speakers to start that speaking process. That there, again, is dependent on whether or not the kaumātua, the elders of that different marae or gathering group, decide to actually allow female to speak. Today, that's probably done a little more than what was actually done even a decade ago, or even more so 20, 30, or even 40 years ago. However, there are still marae, there are still gathering groups from Māori, from tangata whenua, that do not allow, of course, these protocols to be broke. And those are ones that are more in the rural New Zealand areas, and you would actually find that from different marae that you go to across the country. So this is actually just an opportunity for us to talk about what have we actually upheld in terms of tangata whenua, people of the land. There are many things that we've actually held, and of course this form of process is something that we've actually held strong to over the many years, and it is probably unlikely that that will actually change in the years to come. However, to do that though, the language has got to be very strong, the reo, the language itself, and we actually ensure that that does not actually die through what we have in New Zealand, which are kohanga reo, our early learning nests where language is taught, kura kaupapa, which is actually done for primary school, and Kuratuarua, which is our secondary school. And now Te Wānanga, or Ngā Wānanga, the universities are actually encouraging a lot more of the language to be spoken. Many governments have actually endorsed the fact that the language is an official language of New Zealand, of Aotearoa New Zealand. And so therefore, more non-Māori are actually starting to learn the language and speak the language on a regular basis. This, though, has been because of the many politicians, the many advocates from an education and government point of view, and of course from many marae across the motu that have actually upheld the language itself. We have seen that the language is going to likely die if we don't actually uphold it. And therefore, people like myself and many whānau, that's families, hapu, that's sub-tribes, and iwi, that's tribal groups themselves, if we don't actually uphold that, then the language will certainly die. We have seen, though, through the establishment of kohanga reo, kura kaupapa, and of course, kura tuarua and wānanga, that this is not so, and the language has actually been able to be upheld itself. Now, protocols for Māori themselves is actually seen in the rural parts of New Zealand, probably more less in the urban side because of the more transient of our people and the less connection of those Māori living in urban settings, having that connection with their own marae, their own gathering place, and of course their own whānau, hapu and iwi themselves. However, as a person, having both been educated as well as upholding the tikanga, the protocols of Māori culture, it has been quite beneficial for me and for many people like myself to be able to share this knowledge and this cultural experience with many of my colleagues and many of my whānau and hapu and iwi. There are very few of us that are able to actually do that within New Zealand. However, that number is growing through the establishment of kohanga reo, kura kaupapa, kura tuarua, and whare wānanga. So I'd like to actually acknowledge the organising committee for allowing this type of wānanga, this type of conference to actually be to take place. I'd like to actually thank them. And of course, I'm very fortunate that my wife, who is part Māori and Indian, is actually part of this group as well. She has been able to engage with both Māori, Indian living in the country. And we've seen through the statistics that more intermarriages are happening between different cultures, and Indian and Māori culture is part of that. Huri noe e te ea kurangatira. Kei te mihi atu nei kia kau te katoa, e mātakitaki ana i a mātau i tēnei wā. Nō reira ki ngā kai kōrero o te motu, kei te mihi atu nei kia kau te katoa. Whakaore i roa waku kōrero i tēnei wā, nō reira huri noa tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
That was extremely insightful. Maoris have been attending the conference for a very long time, so they are loyal supporters. So thank you once again. That was wonderful. I'd like to now welcome our next speaker, who is Professor Quan Sheng Tseng. He is attending the conference for the first time and will be introducing the Atial tribe tradition from Taiwan. Professor Cheng Tseng teaches social enterprise and cultural innovation studies at the College of Humanities and Social Sciences at the University of Taiwan. Over to you, Professor.
Hi, everyone. I'm Guan Jie Zheng. I'm the professor of Providence University in Taiwan. I also the indigenous people in Taiwan. I belong to Adaya group. I feel so honored to have the chance to be invited by International Center for Cultural Study, ICCS, and speech here for ICCS 2021 conference. I hope you can forgive my poor English because English is not my native language. I will try my hard to do my best. And the topic of my presentation is a brief introduction to the plight of the indigenous people in Taiwan. The first question is, where is Taiwan? You can see the Google map. The red arrow. Taiwan is a small island next to mainland China. Japan and Korea is in the north of Taiwan. The Philippines is in the south of Taiwan. The indigenous peoples of Taiwan refer to the ethnic group that originally lived in Taiwan before the immigrants of Chinese descent in the 17th century. They consist of dozens of tribes with different languages and different lifestyles. Under the slice, you can see some tattoo of the tribes. And Taiwan is a very beautiful island located in the Asian Pacific Ocean, inhabited by various ethnic groups, of which the indigenous peoples is about 567,000, accounting for 2% of the total population in Taiwan. And there are 23.57 million inhabitants in Taiwan. At present, the 16 nationalities identified by the government included Amis, Adaya, Baiwan, Bunun, Buyuma, Rukai, Zhou, Saisha, Yamin, Shao, Gavalan, Telugu, Sakizaya, Sedik, La'aluwa, Ganaganavu, and so on. Each ethnic group has its own culture, language, costumes, and social structure. For Taiwan, the indigenous peoples is an important source of history and culture, as well as a unique treasury of beauty. On this slide, you can see the 16 groups are located from north to south, especially east coast. The indigenous peoples of Taiwan belong to the Austronesian peoples. Among them, all the tribes on the island belong to the Austronesian language group of Taiwan, and the Da'u people on Lanyu belong to the Badan language group of the Malay Polynesian language group. Next, I will introduce a very important law of indigenous people, which called the Indigenous Peoples Basic Law. And the principle of the law is based on United Nations Draft Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. In 2005, Taiwan passed the Indigenous People Basic Law. The purpose of the law is protecting the fundamental rights of indigenous peoples. The government shall guarantee the equal status and development of self-governance of indigenous peoples and implement indigenous peoples' autonomy in accordance with the will of indigenous people. Let's talk about more about the fundamental rights of this law. This law shows the government shall restore the traditional names of indigenous tribes, rivers, and mountains in indigenous peoples' regions. And the government should protect the people can access to broadcast and media. And the government should formulate economic policies and establish indigenous peoples development fund. And the government shall generally allocate budget for improving transportation, post, telecommunication, irrigation works, tourism, and other public construction. And the government shall protect indigenous people's employment rights. And the government recognize indigenous people's rights to land and the natural resources. Let me show you another important law, which called Status Act for Indigenous Peoples. In 2001, the Legislative Yuan passed the Indigenous Status Act. After the law passed, Taiwan recognized the official status of indigenous people in the society. From the law, you can see the Article 2. The indigenous people of Taiwan is divided to two groups, plain and mountain. About the language of indigenous people in Taiwan. Taiwanese Austronesian, also known as Formosan languages, is a branch of the classification of Austronesian language family. It has a population of about more than 500,000 and is mainly distributed in Taiwan Island. The language can be further subdivided into North Taiwan Austronesian Group, Central Taiwan Austronesian Group, South Taiwan Austronesian Group, and Eastern Taiwan Austronesian Group, covering multiple language groups, a total of 28 languages. Of the 28 known Taiwanese indigenous languages, at least 10 have died out. 5 are on the verge of extinction, and many other languages have suffered minor damage. So the important policy of government is to protect the language of indigenous people in Taiwan. Finally, let's look at some general situation now in Taiwan. Because of insufficient financial management concepts, the average of indigenous people in Taiwan is about 30% lower than non-indigenous people. The top 3 majors for indigenous students are nursing, sports, leisure, and sightseeing. About 50% indigenous people living in metropolitan area. And the mainstream society still has ethnic prejudice, stereotypes, or discrimination against the indigenous people. About the political participation, the public opinion representatives account for about 5%, and autonomy is still not fully practiced in Taiwan. Let's see the beauty of indigenous people in Taiwan in the next 5 slices. The picture shows the new ship launching ceremony of Da'u people. Only men can join the activities. After the activities, the new ship can sailing safely. The picture shows the traditional clothing of Da'u people. On the right of the slice is a helmet of Da'u warriors. This photo shows the old photos of Ataya people and also shows the traditional clothing of Ataya people. You can see the special tattoo on the face, and only respectful women and men can have the tattoo. The picture shows the wedding ceremony of Taiwan people. You can see a very gorgeous clothing and head wearing. This picture is showing also the wedding ceremony of Taiwan people. At the end of the presentation, I would like to thank you for your attention. I hope you can have some image of indigenous people in Taiwan. If you have any question, please feel free to contact with me. My email address is jact72@pu.edu.tw. Thank you again. Bye bye.
That was really wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed that. We're going to be having a bit of a break now, and I'm going to be passing you over to Krishna Adam, who's going to be introducing the next segment of the conference. So over to Krishna. So there'll be a couple of minutes break, and then Krishna will be starting.
My greeting to everyone. My greeting to everyone. My name is Krishna. It is my honor to be here today as a volunteer to be a translator for native speaker from Vietnam to share their unique tradition to everyone. In today's session from Vietnam, there will be 3 speakers to share with us about their traditions. First speaker will be an elder from Rackline ethnic group living in the highland of central Vietnam. Please welcome Mr. Mang Lo. Greeting to everyone. My name is Mang Lo. I'm from Rackline, which is the central of Vietnam. First of all, I would like to send my thanks to ICCS to give me an opportunity to be here to connect with other 400 traditions together, and also a big thank, grateful and support from Amajif Lochanji. In this session today, I would like to present a topic about the culture of Rackline people, particularly the grand ceremony named Bang Pakok Patai. This is a very grand ceremony that held every year for the Rackline people. However, nowadays, many modern families is day by day abandon this tradition because of the influence of the big culture. At the same time, with the new technology, the development of agriculture cultivation technology such as chemical fertilizer, pesticide, which in my point of view is harmful to human health, but is more and more popular that also affect this tradition of Rackline people. Therefore, seeing this every year as an elder of Rackline ethnic people, I am trying to connect with other elders from other village of ethnic people together to try to preserving this grand ceremony to be held every year. However, day by day, less and less elder is still alive, and we are facing difficulty in our budget to hold this ceremony. In order for this session, we have I have prepared a video to talk more detail about the issue, and I would like to show to everyone.
Đi du lịch Phan Điền, huyện Bắc Bình, tỉnh Bình Thuận, cho Pháp Việt Nam Rài Minh. Tôi là Bê, tôi làm Palay Ni, mừng can, rồi hù lại, hù clo, hù chợ, hù chân, hù cái dâu, hù tàu, hồ ăn nước thôn hồ xa hồ chua hồ tạc bài hồ chim hồ pro tan đi rồi bagian je tu kajanan dan pamai ka rai tiu ka rai ka anu reglai tala pani ka dâu prong hu giang ba tàu prong hu giang rồi chợ gòn là giang đó là con tà lâm dần giang dan tôi ăn được lại vì tôi làm chợ làm lại không can mai đó nè nhu nước lấy dần giang đi do hu giang ca bằng tầng đựng lại đầu mừng cho nên khi ta cơ nào tạ phân cái dâu có không hay là có cây rừng cái ăn và mai ngã thang để thầu bê chừng ngã giang và nào tạ ca này và nào thay dâu po làm đừng cái nào tạ phân dâu lên để tạ can thì phân dâu tạ can thì phẩm sai nước giang chạy về thâu các ông là để hư nó ngã cái này để po là tạ cái dâu thì là bạn không ngã thang mình là không là bạn học để lịch qua đây là văn ca gọi là nha vì có cái dâu này gì ngay là gì ngã sụ gì ngã sụ gì ngã là gì cọp lấy về lại con ngã thang thì đủ ông pu giang nhổ bo nhổ tôi cái rồi tay bro bữa nay anh ra là hồ ngã pok là padai nanya dalam tai này như pu giang như là pu giang sri tại ina có được lại như là padai ina padai me padai này như chịu thì hát toa từ lâu thứ tam mơ dalam akok belansa dan orang lain telah mự gài mự tua bẹ gài nhiều chăn nó lại nhiều chăn nó thì ca pu tài nan pla chạy nan tan tràn mai là nhung múc cụ là nhu tớ nhu chừng nhu để dọn để ngã rơm mấn cái nhục cụ họ chạy nào rợ nhục pump cô là bị tế băng là lụy băng luôn thì mừng hay pla bát tài bỏ tal hay bỏ dọa thì nhô hị pi là 5 lần bỏ bát tài này để nhô hồ ngã dài chừng không nhô trụ thì bốc mình đến đức thô mừng nhô chịu hồ thấy trụ mưa làm da nhô chịu nhom tài đâm dạo nào là nhô hồ ăn ngồi rù tung ao chuyên lo hồ ăn ngồi bờ khả chuyên lo như này tớ như cham bỏ lại vợ rồi nhụ băng nhôm bơ nhụ cham cà pran cho hòa nhụ hồ đọa thắc cây ô hồ đi cọ bộ cha nào vậy nên bỏ tăn dọa bỏ bà tài mai mơ thang chạy mơ làm tăng làm phung nguyện đó cả mơ tha bỏ tài mẹ phải dọa có tiền rằng bà thọ mai ca một rạp phai ngại giang này ngại nhiều cọ tài bằng cọ tài đi nhiều pro nhiều tra nhiều mũ cây rồi nhiều nước nhiều da phẩm sai về khát thao hai ní nhiều là thao thân cái nan phun chạy thần vợ cái nước da về cái băng để hụt tài hụt ra cái băng ôn nan gì lạ thóc gì ôi chừng và mình ra đi vợ thì thắt thổ bỏ gà gom bỏ mẹ mơ bà điền cổ rang mai chẳng lạ thật bắt chúc khó bảo tài chẳng ngạ tôi dân tôi lại nâng gọi là gì dọc ô lại những đâm biết mà đi lại những đâm biết mấy thấy ai và ngơ bà ngọ lại những đâm có ngạ nó thì hỗ dọc ô trời thật trời là mũ cây thấy rõ ra đây phẩm sai rồi điêu tôi luyện lại cái dòm mừng cho nên nhá bà huyện Bắc Bình này khu rồi tạ bộ như là băng cọ vào tài cả làm pa phẩm paran chợ như ngay dưa phang điền phang lâm phang tiên phang sơn ngạ ghé lên ôm pa che ngạ piếc mày harung gạo bọ tầm bọ kiểu ผมดีผมนั่นก็งี้ก็ทนดีผมอายงะโอ้ผมตั้งใจหายว่าโอ้ได้งี้อายงะผมทางอายเขาอะไรงะใจดักโลกđi các play vậy bọn này rồi đây phải cần phải Hồ Chí làm play đi ngã thì phải Hồ Chí giờ là để Hồ Chí ca chỉ muốn đâm nào nhung nhung hộp prang cái bên là Hồ Chí Hồ Tài gặp một cái từ mọi thứ rồi là ai thắp ăn tra thật là câu đoa caron ICCS trung tâm nghiên cứu quốc tế Tây ra Amaya Holosan Ji an play ca ta là tam bơ chế piếc đơm bội thong tuần gia đi ta là câu đoa caron.
Đơm ăn lẩu đơm.
Là câu đó cái orang tôi mong video tất cả là cô bán lợi cái do cái này là đâm tay.
Thank you everyone for your attention to the video clip. If anyone wish to know more about the tradition or any question, please send to the program and I will try my best to answer at the end of the session. Thank you, Dr. Second speaker will be Cham traditional medicine expert and also an elder of Cham ethnic group living in the plateau and coastal area of the central Vietnam. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Nguyễn Văn Thừa.
Câu salam pit tại ai?
Greetings to everyone.
Câu salam pit tại ai? Lạ ngăn bật thờ chúc lúc tha thun đó bạ lây lan ngã cô cửu cả rớt.
My greeting to everyone. My name is Nguyễn Văn Thừa. I am 71 years old and I am a Cham expert, medicine expert living in Palay Paplap, which is the central of Vietnam.
Lạ câu đoa kerun ICCS câu đoa kerun po cửu ma chạ nô gan.
First of all, I would like to send my thanks to ICCS and also Professor Amajit Chen to give me an opportunity to be here to share my culture, to share my tradition with other 400 traditions from all around the world. In today's session, I would like to present to everyone about the topic of Cham culture. Traditionally, in Cham tradition, we are collecting the natural herbs and plants to make a medicine to treat illness and disease of people in the village long time back ago.
Mừng can thế vinh tâm lay trăm lá hồ cả rất phun cái dâu nó quạt ngã trù rất bồn.
When I was young, surrounding my village, there are plenty of special plants, special herbs that easily to find to make the medicine.
Cho nên mình dạ này lại cho cả rất ấy đi.
However, nowadays, this plant, this small forest has been disappeared because of the urbanization.
Là trong ngạn văn hưu chìm và trài đi. Tấm la cả rất phun cái dâu cái anh ấy cho đây đầy.
In order to this issue, I have tried to collect all of the precious plant and plant it, trying to preserve it in my garden. However, to maintain this is require a lot of human resource and funding. So it's getting harder day by day for me to maintain this.
Là chỉ tin nói là cao quý tại ai với video clip là ngạ chừng.
In order to know more the detail of this issue, I have prepared a record video to talk about the issue and would like to show to everyone.
Là ta câu clip bò lại ngăn là ngăn bật thơ phun ni ta chụp lúc tha thunต่อปะผมรับละxã Xuân Hải, huyện Ninh Hải, tỉnh Ninh Thuận, play lá là play phun là nữ chăm tôi phập ni. Lá là ngã po kru, ngã rọa ngã ký cả phun là chăm nên chủ cái vào này là mừng can lá tạ tề mai mô cây lôi vỡ cả cái nước cái cho rèn đầy bây nào rô cả rỡ phun cái dâu phun cái tàu mà ngã rọa ngã ký cái phập nỉ nước chăm chủ cái vào này là mừng can lá tạ tề mai nhu tấm múc vinh tấm tần play pla mừng play phùm lạ là lô dạ kỹ tràn nên nhớ là chủ nhu hô cần nước hô cần nim khả sợ nhu cần nước cần thim bây giờ ngạ rọa ngạ cây lầu gì năm mức trù là phải cái làm thang làm nọ cả giang phẳng mu cây rải tôi rải nào bà rải nào cả nhung bạ phun trù quả bốc phun trù nim trù rớt nào tan bạ phun trù phải là câu cái ngạ giang ngạ phẳng câu gì là po cái nước po cái da po tròn po pòng cho năn là câu là rô trù rô có vào động nước động da là phải câu phép chỉ po nước po da cho năn mức trù mức vào blog và mai thang là phải bận dàn ơn po nước po da cả và trung mai thang là mai phải là cái thâu vỡ po cái nước po cái da trời nhà nắn trời câu nó mức trù tân thay ni mai mức hú trù và mai tân thang dạ ni là po cái nước po cái da po thang po nọ po pro po tra là ngạm phân rồi phù hộ cả trù vào cái nhút nước nim mới lo và mai thang là cho mừng nhân bù cái nhu thu bịa thu ca mừng là bà nó biết chừng là bù nhu thu tốt làm năn làm kho nọ rèn là chủ là ca hậu chừng chủ nhôm mô khi thể ngạ chừng chủ nhôm phải bà bịa mai bay mai long mai cái na ca mừng rạn nhôm chừng mu mừng cái nơi dạ ni là hậu tỏ kiếp vô cái núi mai tỏ bịa cái lô nhiều năm nay phun cái dâu phun cái tàu rỡ khả rôm như tỏ vô như là thang qua hô thay bà trù mai vô ô là trăm năm plei truông ô hô thay năm plei vô ra là bị trù bị phun cái dâu phun tàu bị khả rôm hiện dạ ni là do là phun cái dâu khả rỡ hô tỏ ô cả đông y giờ bắt đầu như chìm trôn vợ là tây y là bắt đầu như nhung cấp thời là mới lâu nó lạ hô ngã thập bỏ tất cả tầm la trù la vào la cả rỡ cả rôm tân và hay ni mai là trù tầm vào hô chìn và tài lo tu ya hô vân nuôi mong dỡ là hô chìn và tài ngã ô là nhu là ba hay ni ba hay thế nào nhung tai hít lô cho nên là mong muốn của qua là ngắm pan nào làng xóm chính quyền địa phương thì ngắm pan là hỗ trợ là giúp đỡ bây giờ là hu cái nơ hu nuôi mong dỡ hu là dông len mai mọc ngạ như là bê chế biên trù cả nhu là ngạ vỡ.
Thank you everyone for your attention. To continue with our session, the third speaker will be Professor Tan Pham. He is a scholar researching in Cham culture for many years and also belongs to Cham ethnic group. Everyone, please welcome Professor Tan Pham.
Namaste.
Greeting to everyone.
My name is Tan Pham. I am from University of Social Science and Humanities, University, Vietnam. First of all, I would like to express the thanks to ICCS that bring our ethnic group together with communities of the whole world, and my gratitude to great help and support from my chief, Lusan Chi. Now, I would like to present on topic traditional culture of indigenous people and its effect in modern society. Especially Cham, Ragai, and Khmer minority ethnic group in Vietnam. Cham, Ragai, and Khmer ethnic group are indigenous peoples living for a long time in Vietnam. There's 3 ethnic groups for all the marks she acted. Previous they had a state called Champa. Champa was established in the 2nd century. By 9032, Champa was lost. After this history event, they became Vietnam citizens. Today, they reside concentrated in the Vietnam, in the village of central Vietnam. Their livelihood are associated with nature. Forests and rivers are important to them. Therefore, they always respect nature as sacred treasure that not often. They believe that land, rivers, mountains, forests, and trees are governed by a spirit. For example, before building house or cultivating and harvesting them, they had to ritual to ask permission from the gods. In addition, every year, they often do ritual to pray to the gods to bless their family happy and prosperous. Today, their lives are not as peaceful as before. Many factors affect their life now. There are two main factors that directly affect their spiritual life. First of all, traditional culture and lifestyle. Factor modernization. Modern institutions change their lifestyles. Traditional culture has been replaced by modern culture. Hydroelectric dams block rivers. Factor 2. Religion belief. Polytheistic religion belief have been replaced by monotheistic religion. They do not believe that mountains and forests have gods. The forests around their village were destroyed now. Climate and weather change. The river and stream pouring around the village were exhausted. The land around the village is earth. There are no trees and wild animals around. So, for example, three cases of alcohol, black and jump and Negro. Negro. The Kaha people in the current highland of Vietnam, most of them had followed a new religion. For example, now they follow Protestantism. They did not believe in the gods and abandoned their traditional culture. That's true. Black and Negro. Black people do not follow any religion. They always preserve traditional culture and put their faith in the gods. Every year, they always organize festival to preserve traditional culture. After festival, they hold ceremony to worship, to rise their dead, to bless the global and happy life. Phase 3, Cham and Negro. Cham people, they follow many different religions. So their community is divided into 3 different religious community groups. The first, Cham Hira, influenced by Islam. Second, Cham Barmo, influenced by Hinduism. Third, Chamani, influenced by Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam. The Chamani the Champirao communities believes in the Islamic philosophy, which means worship multi-god of Chambani and Chambaramo Padratic, which Champirao belief system. Therefore, they abandon the tradition culture and follow the Islam culture. Chambaramo and Chambani believe that the land, the forest, the rivers, tree, the animal all have a soul and a God to govern. If everyone to cut tree or hunt animals, they must worship the gods. They are only allowed to for the purpose of serving families' activities. If property will be purified by the gods. Before sowing, they always have to make offering to the land god to ask permission to plant rice and other crops. After harvesting, they must also make offering to the gods who own the tree. They always appreciate and thank the nature that has given them a full and happy life. The current situation now. In Vietnam today, many places are converting to new farming method. They use new hybrid seeds, chemical fertilizer, and anti-insecticides. Many people continue to follow the new farming methods. It will be harmful to health. More and more toxic substances circulate in the soil. The land quickly faded. To research traditional farming method and preserve the cultural values of indigenous peoples, every year in January of New Year, Rakhine people already Bangkok die. This means New Rice Seed Boxing Festival. And the Cham people organize the Richa Nakar, as God Worshiping Festival, to present traditional culture to exchange between localities. To conclude, I think in order to preserve and develop precious medicine plant and the Cham people, first of all, it is necessary to have a project to establish help of seed nurseries and private seeds for growing medicine plants. In order to preserve traditional farming practice and preserve the cultural value of the Rakhine people, it is necessary to have funding to organize the Bangkok Pattaya Festival. This is mean new Rice Celebration Festival every year to exchange between localities together. This is the end of my presentation. Anyone have any question? Please send to the program, and I will try my best to answer question. Now I would like to pass to the coordinator of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Tan Phan. I believe this is the end of our session of Traditional from Vietnam. I would like to say thank you to all the speakers that bring to us the beautiful and unique tradition and sharing with us all of their beautiful. And I would like to, and we would like to thank you so much for everyone's attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that, Krishna, for arranging that. I've definitely learned a lot about the Vietnamese rituals that you've just presented to us. That was wonderful. Next, we have Dr. Bunjoy Dujai, who is a practicing Buddhist monk representing Lana Thai tradition. Dr. Dujai has a PhD and is a social activist and gives tremendous amount of time to Seva service. I'm delighted he's here with us today, and it'll be a live chat with him, talking about ancient cultures through balancing ecosystem. So over to you, Dr. Dujai.
First of all, I would like to thank to ICCS for inviting us. As a tradition from Thailand, especially we belong to Lana tradition, which is in northern part of Thailand. We have our own script and we have our own dialect that we speak, although it is not popular, but we use our own tradition and our own script to spread Buddhism in the area. Most of the people in northern part of Thailand, we believe in Buddhism, so we follow the way that the Buddha has taught us. And once with the trying to preserve the water, river, we follow the traditions of chanting, especially to chant, to preserve the river, to preserve the water, and also to preserve the forest by tiding the rope, the yellow rope, to the tree in order to preserve the forest and the river. So with that, we are going to do a chanting, which is in brief, which normally we chant to make a water, to make our holy water, to spread to the people, for the blessing in almost every ritual, whether it is the birthday ceremony or it is to celebrate to have a new house, something like that. So please join us for chanting.
Sevana Japalana Pantitanam Ja Sevana Japujaniyanam Yetamakala Mutanam Pantirupa Vesava Socha Pubeja Gata Punyata Samma Bani Vijahi Tamakala Mutanam Buddhala Rasa Sangha Moana Bajani Kamandini Kamakala Mutamala Divila Dipapama Japana Jasanya Moa Pama Toja Tame Sue Tamakala Mutamakala Mudaniwa Toja Santuti Jakata Yuta Karena Tamasawana Tamakala Mutamakala Dika Soa Jasata Samanana Jasasana Masaka Jaya Dhammagala Muttama Buddha Brahmacariya Jariya Sajjana Dasana Nibbana Sajikiriya Jaya Dhammagala Muttama Buddha Saloka Dhamme Citta Yasana Kambani Asokari Raja Kema Dhammagala Muttama Etati Sanikatwana Sapatama Pala Citta Sapata Sopinga Canti Kante Samakala Muttama Makala Sutta Sangke suwaya matana pani tanah no sama mati kadang tena hitam biru tera tanah pani take tena satena suwati untuk kaya wilaka amata pani tamyata saka kaya muni sama itu tena kamena sama titi kami kamera tanah pani take tena satena suwati untuk yang kota seto pani warna Yesus sama di mana tadi kanya mau sama di nadena sambona wecati kami kamera tanah bani tahe tena satena suwati unduye bukala dasana basa taja tadi etani yukani undi betaki naya sukata sasawa kae desu tingani mahapalani tapi sangkera tanah bani tahe tena satena suwati unduye supayu mana saranya dari kami noko dhamma sasana ide pati patama kami kaya kata mutani puting kucamanai kami sangkera tanah kami tange tena sajena suwati untuk ina purana nawanati sampawangi rata cita di kebawasan di tekina bicara biruni satani pati diraya kaya pati koi kami sangkera tanah kami tange tena sajena suwati untuk Barokah mana sambawaya parimana utama dosa dirian ja sambaranga wiranga sabata kita jalani sino wasaya nuwaya wata sabi kata mitoe rasa tingati jaya kama meta wiharangi tamawuni tinja nupaka masila wata sanina sambano kami subinaya kedanga hijatu kaba sayang punare titi karani yang meta suka Kaya pata jani kaya soka pata jani soka untuk sampai di palino etawa tajam nehi sampatang sunya sampatang sampai dewa lumo tentu sampat di siti yang kanan tentu sandaya silara tentu sampata kawana bila tahun tuka centu dewa takata sampai buta balapata pati kanan jaya balang arahan dan jati jenara kamanda bisa masuk Tentuti paramagana bisa sabaramaya dini panang palamang sukan.
Thank you for all for hearing and for your attention.
That was really amazing, Dr. Dujai. I think that's put all of the viewers into a bit of a nice spiritual space. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to be a part of this amazing chant you've just presented us with your students there. So now, next we have with us Dr. Chai, who's going to be introducing the current tradition from Thailand. Dr. Chai is actively involved in Current Network for Culture and Environment and serves as the Vice President of the Foundation for Culture and Environment for Southeast Asian chapter. So looking forward to hearing you, Dr. Chai. Over to you. I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to interrupt you there for a second, Dr. Chai. We're really struggling to hear you. Is there any way you can bring yourself closer to the mic? Because I think we really want to hear the wisdom you're giving us, but at the moment, we're really struggling to hear. No, I think it seems to be a bit difficult. I think there seems to be a bit of a problem. We're really struggling. Yes.
Let him put transition slide on, then you stop. Tell him. Just tell him.
What we're going to do, Dr. Chai, is we're going to try and just pause you for a second to see if we can fix this problem, and because otherwise it'll be a waste if we can't hear you. So I'm just going to pause this and come back to you. Just 1 second. Our sincere apologies for a bit of a technical glitch. So we're trying to fix that, and we will get Dr. Chi back very shortly. But moving on, we're going to go on to our next speaker, which I'm actually really excited about. So it's our great honor and pleasure to have with us such an inspiring human being. It is His Holiness, the 12th Shangon Kentling Tai Situpa Rinchumpe. He is basically a philosopher, a poet, a scholar, an artist, and an architect. He authored more than 20 books in English, and his compilation in the Tibetan language reaches over 200 volumes. His writing reaches over 15 volumes. He is continuously teaching and transmitting sacred lineage of Dharma to disciples from all over the world. So over to His Highness Kentling Tai Situpa.
tamke tukje shakje rekso chung yenje metu duche ponjamba serje lumbo tabur jibe go shakje jarbu shamla chaksalo International Center for Culture Study is organizing a worldwide deliberation and also communication. I am honored to be part of it, of course. But most important thing for myself and everyone to truly be effective and efficient is to summarize the present world predicament, environmental, social, religious, culture, everything. It is involved with several things. It is all based on environment for the young child to grow up. It all boils down to that, surrounding and environment. So that involves family harmony, happy family. That involves thoughtful, meaningful, caring education in different stages of the child, from birth until age, which is totally innocent. And child will learn so much during that time. And that will prepare the child for next 8 years, from 8 to 16. And there, because physical body is also becoming more strong, therefore, there is mental and physical development, not fully, but very, very significantly. So during this time, so many things can influence the child or the teenager. There, whatever is repeated in the environment will affect the person. Good things are repeated, it will affect. Bad things are affected, it will affect. Same thing with good experience, bad experience, everything will affect. And then from 16 to 24, the third phase of the 8 years, during this time, then the teenager and the youngster will be experimenting. So that is extremely important period of life where all the necessary environment and facilities has to be provided for them so that they can experiment and they can have first-hand experience as a result of the experiment. So now, after 24, a human being is already grown up very much. Of course, still we can learn until we die, but very much we have already learned. And so everything that person will do in that person's life is very much dependent on those 3 stages, from birth to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 24. So this has to be taken very seriously and recognized. Then let's put it this way. First, life experience from surrounding, environment, family, friend, school, everything. That experience itself manifests as emotion. And then that becomes thoughts. And then that becomes perception. So everybody have all kind of perception. And as a result of the perception, then one will do things, say things, and that is action. And it is out of question. Today's reality are the direct outcome of the yesterday's action or past action, you can say. But yesterday I just used this word. And tomorrow's reality will be the direct outcome of today's action. No matter how we hair split them, how we acknowledge them or dismiss them, that is how it is, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. Therefore, for all of the colleagues here, greetings to all of you, and appreciate each and every one of you, whatever you are doing and whatever you are contributing for ICCS, or International Culture Study, Center for the Culture Study, for all of you. Now, one last word. Right action with the right motivation, with right understanding is always the key.
That was incredible. Thank you so much, Tai Situpaji, for joining us. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us, and especially your point you've just made towards the end about the right motivation and the correct understanding. We will all definitely endeavor to do this as you've just requested. Now we have with us Professor Kalpana Kant from Srimanta Shankardeva Bhakti Movement. Professor Kalpana Kant has an English literature and a law degree. She's taught at an undergraduate level and is incredibly knowledgeable and passionate about Northeast India. Over to you, Professor Kant.
Namaskar. I bring greetings to you from Assam in northeastern India. It was here in the small village of Alipukhuri that Shankara was born in the year 1449 AD. Little could anyone imagine that the infant born in a bhuya or a petty chief's home would one day be the most towering personality of the region. He lost his parents at a very tender age. His indulgent grandmother let him lead a carefree life for the first 12 years of his life. Blessed with physical prowess, Shankar was said to have crossed the mighty river Brahmaputra several times. To ensure that he followed the tradition of his ancestors, his grandmother sent him to a toll or a chatrasala run by scholar Mahendra Kandali. Young Shankar gave an inkling of his brilliance when he composed his first poem soon after joining school, an ode to Lord Vishnu, using only the consonants and the first vowel O. This was what he had learned till then. One day, Kandali found Shankar sleeping in the school grounds, the extended hood of a cobra offering him respite from the hot sun. The incident gave the Guru an indication of his future greatness, and he conferred on him the epithet Deva. From that day, young Shankar became Shankar Deva. He completed his formal learning when he was 20 and took up the duties of an administrator and a householder. During those times, there was constant fighting amongst heterogeneous entities for power and territory. Assam was passing through a period of confusion and turbulence. Tolerance, goodwill, and fellow feelings were absent. Bhakti, as propounded by the Vedas and the Puranas, were absent. Shankardev, however, was undaunted by these adverse circumstances and immersed himself in scholarly pursuits. In 1481 AD, at the age of 32, he set out on his first pilgrimage. He held discussions with scholars and realized the power of community singing. He wrote his first devotional song in Assamese and Brajabali, a linguistic mix comprising of Assamese and Maithili. He wanted the masses to give up complex religious rituals and find inner peace in faith. His faith was based on Eko Deva, Eko Kheba, Eko Bine, Nahi Keba. One God, one devotion, there is none but one. This was named Eko Khorono Nama Dharma, or devotional surrender to one, to Lord Krishna or one of his incarnations. The path he chose was that of Shravana, the act of listening to the accounts of Vishnu, and Kirtana, the act of chanting prayers to the Lord. He translated religious texts from Sanskrit verse form into Assamese and created music, drama, and dance forms as a medium of connecting with people. He presented Chinna Yatra, a dramatic presentation with paintings, using 7 hand-painted scenes in succession, each showing 7 Vaikunthas or heavenly abodes as backdrop. He not only wrote, produced, and staged the drama, but arranged the music, illuminations, and also the fireworks. He was the central figure as the Huttradhar or anchor. Some musical instruments like the khol or the drum and tal or cymbals were made especially to his design. This was the beginning of the Onkianat. He could write with equal dexterity in Assamese, Brajabali, and Sanskrit. His translations of the Sanskrit scriptures into Assamese were truly transcreations, enriched by his new diction and style. His literary works are said to be 26 in number. His creativity and practical knowledge led to great additions being made to the repository of Assamese culture in the form of accessories, musical instruments, costumes, jewelry, paintings, etc. The cultural transformation which was brought about by the great reformer through forms such as the Onkianat, Bhauna, Borgid, and Hotya Nitya led to Assam being socially revived, spiritually awakened, and intellectually rejuvenated. Shankardev and his two principal disciples established the Hotras, which are Ek-Horana monasteries, headed by a guru or the Hotradikar. An important function of the Hotra is to see that good relations is maintained amongst the villages for mutual cooperation. Hotriya culture has withstood the test of time. The Hotriya form of dance, which has its origin in the Hotras, is the 8th classical dance form of India to be recognized by the Sangeet Natak Academy.
Onkianat begins, just like the Purborongo of classical, with the Dhemali of Khultal recital by the Gayon Bayon. It is an elaborate percussion recital structured into...
Social harmony was a very important characteristic of Sri Shankaradev's Bhakti movement. His religion was democratic in nature, and he embraced people of all denominations, whether a tribal living in a remote area, or a lowly worker, or a person professing another faith. Shankardev has left the great legacy of the Namghar, Kirtanghar for the Assamese people. This large, simple, traditional prayer hall is the focal point of his religion and his immense influence on Assamese life. Nam Kirtan is regularly performed in the Hotras. In place of an idol, the Bhagavat, or its concise version, the Gunamala, is placed in the Sanctum Sanctorium, the Monikut. Equality is preached and practiced inside a Namghar. The devotees sit on the floor and partake of the same simple prasad. A Namghar is not just merely a congregational hall of prayer. Various activities revolve around it. Social issues as disputes or the welfare of the community are discussed here in a democratic manner. These Namghars, which are found throughout the state of Assam, can be called village parliaments and reflect a great democratic tradition at the grassroots level. Shankardev waged a relentless war against narrow casteism, and like the other Vaishnava reformers of his time, he preached the fundamental equality of all religions. He was one of the greatest integrators of the Indian people. His extensive tours and pilgrimages throughout the country and his profound study of the history and philosophy of the great Indian nation made him realize the vision as well as the mission of India. He realized that in spite of local differences, there was an underlying unity in the country. He took some steps to forge an emotional link with the rest of the country. After bringing an essence of unity amongst the communities living in Assam, he made efforts to integrate the Assamese people into the mainstream of Indian nationality. The eternal message that he left was that there was a fundamental unity in all human hearts. Sri Shankardev, who lived till the age of 120 years, had truly brought a renaissance in the history of Assam.
तस्मै श्री परमात्मने तस्मै श्री परमात्मने कृष्णाय गुरु नमः कृष्णाय गुरु नमः कृष्णाय गुरु
My sincere gratitude to the organizers and the August gathering today for this wonderful opportunity to give insights in a very small way into the life and times of the great Vaishnava saint. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Professor Count, for giving us such a detailed account of the Assamese Srimanta Shankardeva Bhakti movement. It's definitely made me want to go and do a bit more research into this movement and obviously visit Assam as well at some point, like we'd spoken on the phone as well. We're going to be taking a little bit of a break now. So grab a coffee, stretch your legs, and we'll be back in about 4 to 5 minutes. See you shortly. Welcome back from our little break. So after fixing a little bit of a technical glitch, we do have Dr. Chi back with us. So I'll just introduce him again for some of you who may have just joined us. Dr. Chi is from the Karen tradition in Thailand. He's actively been involved in the Karen Network for Culture and Environment and serves as a vice president of the Foundation for Culture and Environment for the Southeast Asian chapter. Looking forward to hearing you, Dr. Chi. Over to you.
Yes, Sawadee Krap, Bishop. My name is Chi. So I belong to Pokanyo or Karen Indigenous people from Thailand. I'm living in the north part of Thailand. So actually in Thailand, we have more than 35 Indigenous people groups. Even though the government don't accept or recognize that in Thailand have Indigenous people yet, but we try, we not try, we prove, we insist, and we announce to the people in our country that we are Indigenous people. We are not migrant people, because our ancestors in Thailand, we have like a folk story that we living in Thailand before nation country building. Actually, in our community, in our culture, we have a rotational farming system that the rice plant is the main crops that we practice in our community. But when the government they are set up the forestry law, they don't allow we continue our rotational farming practicing anymore. So now we face with the crisis situation of we have to change our agriculture system. When we talk about agriculture, that is mean planting and then culture is a link with each other. But in Thailand now we have to change to like a monocrops system. If we plant like a monocrop system, they allow us to plant because we have to use like a permanent land. But in rotational farming, we have a rotation field system, at least like a 7 years to 12 years, and then we come back to the same place or something like that. So now we try a lot to keep our ancestral land. We try a lot to call for our cultural rights in Thailand, and otherwise, if our rotational farming lose, our culture we lose, our forest we lose, our rights we lose, and our life also lose. So now the instruments or the tools that we try to call for our right is art and culture. We use as a tools. For example, today I will show you about my music instrument. This one we call tenaku. We made from the wood that we already after we harvest, and then if we have some wood that's still useful, we took it from our rice field, and then we use it as a music instrument, and then we sing for our children, we sing for our parents, and now we use it to sing to promote our rights in our society. We use it to explain to people that we have our traditional culture, we have traditional way of life, and then we also prove that we're living with the forest. For example, when we have a new baby or the children born in our community, we cut the umbilical cord, we put in the bamboo, and then we take that bamboo to the tree and we tie with the tree. We believe that that tree soul and then the child soul is be each other, and then they have to living together. We cannot cut that tree anymore. So one person for one tree. So this tree in our community area we call like a umbilical cord forest. So one community for one forest, you can see. So in Thailand we have more than 500,000 population of Pagano people, and then we located more than 15 provinces in the north and in the west part of Thailand. So this is the situation that we try to keep our indigenous rights to living in the forest in Thailand. So I would like today, I don't want to talk much. So if you would like to know more, you can search the information more about our culture. You can type like a current Thailand, or even you can type my name, Suvishan, in the Google or in the YouTube. You can search more information about the current or Pagano situation in Thailand, and then you can search information about the Pagano traditional knowledge that harmonize with the forest. But today I would like to sing and show you about the feeling, about the melody, about the rhythm of the Pagano people with the natural rhythm. No. This song is talk about nature, talk about peace. They said that when we eat rice, we have to see the plant of rice. When we eat water, we have to concern the watershed. When we use the land, we have to protect the land. When we drink the water, we have to protect the forest. me dollar call do do, me dollar call do do. Me double way, killer, killer. Me double way, killer, killer. Look at do show more. Look at do show more, do show more. Te qua Musa pele odiso Guna guna nana guna Lukelele sa Kelele chomoa Alulela kelele cholela lulela kelele cholela moa Lulela kelele cholela lulela kelele cholela moa Te qua te qua Musa pele odiso Guna guna nana guna Begini ya. Lele, lele, lukelele sa, kelele chomoa, lulela kelele cholela lulela kelele cholela moa. Lulela kelele cholela lulela kelele cholela moa. Te qua te qua Musa pele odiso guna guna nana guna So thank you. So this is I would like to share you about our story, our life in Thailand, and then our rhythm, our melody about the people who living in the forest, and then the situation that we face nowadays. So I hope you, if you have any question, you can text me, or you can contact me by ICCS or in my profile in the information of this conference. So I would like to thanks again and then say goodbye from now. Thank you. W. Thank you.
Wow, that was lovely. Thank you for sharing that with us, Dr. Chi. I think we could have kind of heard that for a lot longer than what you've just presented. Now, what we have with us our next speaker. So we're delighted to be joined by Dr. Venerable Lungten Gyatso, who is the president of Royal University of Bhutan, with a double master's in Buddhist studies and Sanskrit literature. Currently, he teaches universal human values and personal transformation in Buddhism in the college itself. He's an executive faculty of the Royal Institute of Governance and Strategic Studies in Bhutan. He's also an Hollywood actor, known famously for the movies Travelers and Magician, which came out in 2003. It's lovely to have you with us. Over to you, Dr. Gyatso.
Bhutan. I would like to congratulate the ICCS for organizing this international event, Ancient Cultures Championing Humanity, of which I feel honored to be a part. My humble participation in this big event, I hope that the next 14 minutes or so will be useful to the audience with my sharing on Buddhism in Bhutan. Bhutan is a tiny kingdom located between two aspiring superpowers, India to the south and China to the north. Bhutan identifies itself with its development philosophy of gross national happiness, commonly known by its abbreviation GNH. Bhutan is known for its peace, tranquility, and coexistence with nature, and is also known as the last Shangri-La due to its richness and sense of care for its nature and environment. Buddhism was first introduced into Bhutan by the Indian tantric scholar Guru Padmasambhava in the 8th century. Majority of the Bhutanese follow the Vajrayana school in Buddhism. The Vajrayana Buddhism is an esoteric form of Mahayana Buddhism. Although Buddhism in Bhutan traces the origin to Tibet, it has developed its own identity. The rituals, liturgy, and monastic organization differ from that of the Tibetan Buddhism. The dzongs, monasteries, stupas, iconography, art and architecture, festivals, music, rituals, prayer flags, prayer wheels, etc. are markers of Vajrayana tradition in Bhutan. Since the advent of Buddhism, every aspect of daily life, both private and public, governance, development, politics, and policies, is permeated by the Vajrayana Buddhist ideology. Even the concept of GNH is also an offshoot of the Vajrayana consciousness. In Bhutan, history and Buddhism are intertwined, and as a result, many of the historical and heritage sites are also the religious sites. The Vajrayana Buddhism is sometimes referred to as Tantrayana because it is based on the Tantras, which emphasize the indivisibility of wisdom and compassion. Vajrayana is known for using its intricate spiritual technologies and distinctive ritual practices and objects such as mantras, mandalas, and mudras for imparting the teaching. So Vajrayana embodies all the teachings of the Theravada tradition and the teaching of the Mahayana tradition, whether it is Theravada tradition, Mahayana tradition, or Vajrayana tradition. Buddhist in general is in response to the fundamental human aspiration to be continuously happy and the suffering that most humanity is grappling with. So the two primary issues that Buddhism has taken to address are: one, how to ensure continuity of happiness, and two, how to end suffering. The Buddha concluded that happiness is intrinsic in nature. It is the default state of mind, but suffering is our creation. If we don't create them, there is no suffering. Suffering is the outcome of ignorance, greed, and hatred. So the primary purpose of Buddhism is to dispel these negativities by bringing heightened level of awareness and consciousness in every human being. So the core focus in Buddhism is that mind is central to human existence. Mind is central to human existence because my feeling and thought are important for me, because my happiness or unhappiness is dependent on the nature of my feeling and thought. But this is not clear to us because our attention is always on external things and not on the mind. We have to therefore start observing and evaluating whether mind is important or not. If we can see that my feeling matters to me, my thoughts matter to me for my happiness or unhappiness, then my attention will go towards my mind every moment. Then I will pay attention to my imagination. I'll pay attention to my feeling and thought every moment. When we pay attention to ourselves and explore within, we see that either our center of our living is totally on physical facilities, or the body is the center of our living, or the sensation is the center of our living. Paying attention to physical things, body and sensation, in fact, are the activities of lower level of thinking. This is mind, looking at the world outside. Then the next level, our imagination, our thoughts and feelings are the center of our living. But when we pay attention to right understanding, understanding the mind, then we work for ensuring right feelings and right thoughts in the mind. So when we pay attention to mind, then right feelings and right thoughts become the center of our living. Our thoughts and feelings become definite. When feelings and thoughts become definite, then the mind becomes definite, and this is called realization. When we make realization the center of our living, then we will be in a state of continuous harmony and happiness within. The major work has to be done at the level of mind. We should be able to observe our feeling, our thought, and then be aware of it, whether it leads to harmony and happiness within or not. When I am aware of my thoughts and feelings, all the wrong thoughts and feelings will lose its importance. Once it loses its importance, it will automatically weaken and die out. The wrong feelings in the consciousness is simply there just by way of assumption or some preconditioning or acceptance for it. The moment I see that the wrong feeling is leading to my unhappiness, it will naturally get dropped. At the moment, we are unable to see it because we are not paying attention to it, and therefore we are not able to see that it is harmful. Therefore, we are holding on to it. The moment I realize that it is harming me, it will just drop because it does not have an independent existence. It has its existence only in our acceptance. So our beliefs, our assumptions, or the preconditioning that we have, they do not have an independent existence. It exists only in our acceptance. So working towards ensuring happiness and dispelling suffering, wisdom, love, and compassion are the only panacea. Wisdom, love, and compassion are the basic realities, all pervading existential laws. Truth, therefore, has to do with understanding. It has to do with wisdom to see the reality the way it is. Love has to do with my relationship with every unit in existence. Compassion has to do with how I fulfill that relationship, my willingness to fulfill that relationship. So my ultimate source of happiness and the antidote to suffering also is wisdom, love, and compassion, which is the focus of Buddhism. Wisdom or knowledge is the most powerful tool with which we can see the reality the way it is. Greatest suffering is because of our ignorance or wrong assumptions. We assume we are the body, while the reality is we are the mind. With wisdom, we understand that human being is the coexistence of mind and body, and not just the body. It is the mind which is the enjoyer, doer, actor, consumer, and experiencer, and body is just used as a means or instrument. The second greatest ignorance is we have assumed that we will be happy from physical things and favorable sensations. This is our primary confusion. But with wisdom, upon self-exploration, we understand that continuous happiness is only possible from understanding feeling of love, compassion, and ensuring the feelings of love and compassion, and not from the material world outside or feelings from other persons. So everything is a question of understanding. The whole design of nature and existence is on the basis of relationship, harmony, and coexistence. And whatever is happening is an expression of this relationship, harmony, and coexistence. The only problem is we are unable to see it and understand it, and therefore we are assuming otherwise, and our feelings and thoughts are not in line with relationship, harmony, and coexistence, which is the fundamental design of this existence. With wisdom, we are able to see that our suffering is purely because of our thoughts and feelings based on wrong assumptions and not because of external events and conditions. So, the issue here is about understanding and ensuring feelings and thoughts on the basis of understanding. With wisdom, we are able to dispel the gross ignorance that I am the body and my happiness is coming from material things and sensations. But wisdom alone is not good enough to address human suffering, because happiness is a direct outcome of feeling of love and of compassion. Today, our problem is we are trying to derive happiness from physical facilities and sensations without paying attention to feelings and correcting our feelings. Happiness is the effect of right feelings indeed. When we talk about right feelings, there are two parts. One is to ensure the feeling of love and compassion within ourselves, and the other is fulfillment of those feelings. The feeling is the most important and the prime part to make sure that we have the feeling of love for all. At the level of feeling of love, we want to be related to everyone. We want to be related, in fact, with the entire 7.5 billion human beings on this planet, even if they are not within the range of our direct access. We want to be related to every expression in existence, the air, the water, the soil, the mountain, everything, because we coexist with them. Therefore, we are related to everything. The second part is fulfillment of feeling, expression of feelings. Now, when I go to express it, it is not necessary and not possible to express the feeling of love to all the 7.5 billion people. We can only express it to those who are in the immediate vicinity with us, with whom we come in direct contact at the present moment. Those who are our first line of access, like our family members, colleagues at the workplace, etc. But we will have the feeling of love for all the 7.5 billion human beings, even if they are not in our direct contact. When we have this feeling for all, it will be a natural expression that it will come out as a natural expression when we come in contact with people, whosoever they may be, in the family, at the workplace, etc. On the other hand, if I do not have this feeling of love for all, then I will have a feeling of affection for some, and I will have a feeling of opposition with some. When I have a feeling of opposition, then this feeling of opposition is what is causing unhappiness to me. So it is important to have the feeling of relationship with everyone for my happiness in continuity. So wisdom, love, and compassion are the central tenets in Buddhism for continuous happiness or for enlightenment for that matter. Till now, we have been busy trying to fix the outside world, assuming that the problem is outside. Everybody feels it is the other who needs to change. I am perfect. So nobody is changing because everybody is waiting for others to change. Nobody has decided to change oneself. If we become ready to change ourselves, then we will at least strive to change. Buddhism, therefore, reminds that your happiness or your unhappiness depends on whether your center of living is physical things, your center of living is body or sensations, or your imagination, or your center of living is your understanding or realization at the level of self. This is all I have to say today. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Professor Gatso. That was really wonderful. My key takeaway, and I'm sure this is the same for our audience watching here today as well, would be how one should keep love, compassion, and wisdom at the forefront of our mind for a sustainable future. Our final session for today is Shyamji Parande. Sri Shyamji Parande is a global coordinator for Seva International, originally from Maharashtra, India, and today he lives in Delhi. He's a key supporter of ICCS, and we are delighted that he can join us today. He has been our key guiding light for ICCS and has been with us since the very beginning. Shyamji, welcome to ICCS's 7th International Conference. Over to you.
Namaste to everyone. Namaste, everybody. This was an enlightening morning. As a matter of fact, we have been forced to be living in constrained ways due to the corona for last 1 year. And this, the 7th gathering that we are holding, is being held online, and we are missing the regular meeting every 3 years that we had 6 times met since the beginning in 2003. I had been listening to all the messages, all the presentations, right from morning, where we started with Maoris of New Zealand. And every presentation was enriching education and illuminating. Well, the Maoris, starting with Maoris, then it was Vietnam's Cham and Ragalai and Keho, and then the Thailand, the elders from the Thailand, and of course, the one from Assam, the Shankardev Acharya's Satra. And I would like to state here that the last message, the last presentation from Professor Gyatso from Bhutan was the climax. As a matter of fact, he brought all factors together into his message. And I really thank all the presenters, the venerables, for their messages and the education and the wisdom they shared with us. Having said that, I would like to state here that the spiritual journey, wherever it starts over the world, has to connect itself to Asia for the spiritual abundance of this zone. The journey, spiritual journey, gets connected with Asia for achieving what everybody wishes to achieve as a community, as a person, or whatever that might be. The modern times we have seen, of course, the Corona-19 was one which bound us in many ways, which has troubled the whole society, which has harmed the civil society and each and every country and economies. The sufferers were the poor and the underprivileged. And the whole world suffered. But this is just an example of how we misbehaved with the creation, with the mother nature, with the mother earth. Every presentation earlier connected us to the mother nature and the mother earth. And this relationship, of course, is most precious because it gives us a duty, a responsibility towards mother nature. You see, all these ancient traditions which love nature, which respect nature, which respect diversity, the key to human life, have been suppressed, and many of them got destroyed because of the monoliths or monolithic religions earlier and the modern politics. I would not hesitate to state the example of China, where the diversity that we experience all over Asia also exists in Indonesia, also exists in India, also exists in China, and whichever part we go to, travel to. However, in China, the political separation is inhuman. And because of that, we are losing many traditions. And because of other religions, we have lost many. However, the current one that the whole of humanity is facing is the globalization. Well, globalization has been part of ancient traditions because we never divided humanity. We never divided the animal kingdom, and because we believed that the whole creation is divine. Divinity pervades whole of creation and worshipped the nature, it being an expression of divinity. However, the market forces in the name of globalization exploit the human society, but for the interest of the market, exploit the mother nature, and the whole of creation. And this has posed a great challenge for all of us. Of course, we can go on discussing about what had happened earlier, the historical baggage. But apart from listening or understanding the message from the past, the lessons from the past, we need to live in the present, deal with the present, and bringing all traditions together on a common platform so that our voice is heard all over, making it distinct, making it louder, making it purposeful to the benefit of the creation of the human society and the whole of creation is essential. And that's what we are doing today. We need to respect nature, and this is the bounden duty of the human society. As a matter of fact, we need to preserve the nature, respect it. We need to preserve the diversity of the nature, which stands threatened today. The ancient traditions all respected and worshipped the nature. And today we need to understand that this voice has to reach beyond. The United Nations presented us an opportunity through the Sustainable Development Goals. The exploitation has gone so high that we experience through the disasters, man-made or natural calamities. Everybody is left worried. The changing patterns of the climate also harm us. Some of the presentations talked about agriculture and how it was helping, or it was nurturing the soil which supports us, the mother nature or the mother earth that supports us. This is the way we had been living. The modern ways of using chemicals and everything has harmed the whole nature, the mother earth, the agriculture in many ways, and through that, the whole living beings. And when they talked about the developmental goals, the sustainable developmental goals, if you go through some of them, we will understand that what we were talking now, they have been discussed during the Sustainable Goal conferences. That's how they are coming back to the ancient ways of wisdom, which helped the whole of creation, the whole of life. You see, all the ancient traditions respected both the genders, whether male or female, because many of the cultures that we listen to, the traditions that we listen to, talked about the gender equality. At Maoris and the Vietnam Cham, they are, of course, matriarchal societies providing equal standing to both the genders, gender equality, which is the 5th goal amongst the 17 that we need to understand. So connecting, the modern man is trying to reconnect to the earlier ways of the ancient traditions. And what we talked about after that is responsible consumption. That's the 12th goal, that human society is exploiting all the resources available in the mother nature. Mother nature is bountiful. It will provide support to all the creation till we try to fulfill our needs and not exploit it. The moment we start to exploit it, the mother nature, we will be the sufferers. The whole of humanity and future generations will be the sufferers. We have to judiciously utilize it for the human society, for the whole of creation, the living animal kingdom, and everybody to survive. Allow everybody to survive, or rather support everybody to survive. And that's our responsibility, we being the thinking animal king, amongst the animal king. The 13th is climate action. Everybody talks of climate action, is worried about that. The disasters we are suffering are all emanating out of that. And unless and until we change our ways, it will not be possible to enjoy the climatic conditions that we used to enjoy earlier and avoid the disasters that the climate is playing on us. So climate action will have to be taken. Afforestation or whatever that might be. We have destroyed forests. We have exploited nature in many ways, and that has to change. Then comes the life on land, which is the 15th. So every life has to be respected. Every life below the water, that's 14th. So below the water and above the land and in the skies has to be provided support by the human society. And that's where the role of the ancient traditions comes in. Unless and until we are more vocal, unless and until we express ourselves in a manner that we go out to everybody, reach out to everybody across the globe and impress them, influence them, that we need to, we are the responsibility of sustainable living, and that this has to be enriched and passed on to the next generations so that we all enjoy the life. Ultimately, it's the equality that one has to emphasize. The religions, the modern religions, which claim that they are the only ways, they have to understand that there are many ways to reach the divinity, the truth, and every way will have to be respected. The diversity has to be respected. The message of ancient traditions has to be passed on to the youth and the upcoming generations, unless and until we change our way of life, we mend our way of life, the next generations will not accept the advice without practice. The changed ways will have to be practiced by the present human society so that the next generations will also learn to live like that. And professing without practice, they won't accept. They'll question, and they do question. And unless and until we change our ways, this is not going to change. I really thank everybody who has presented today, and with the message that unless and until all ancestors, ancient traditions come together on a forum like International Center for Cultural Studies and raise our voice globally, this is not going to be heard. Expect more and more traditions to join hands and look forward to meeting you all in person soon for the next conference as soon as possible. And it will, of course, be held in Bharat, India. And you are all welcome that we hold the conference every 3 years. For the next conference, the 8th or might be the 7th conference itself after a year, if the humanity then overcomes the present challenge of the Corona-19 and the life gets normalized, the travel becomes normal, and we start traveling together to achieve what we have set as a goal for all of us, the whole humanity, making the life richer. And thank you very much, and namaste to everyone who attended and beyond. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Shyamji Parande, for joining us and giving us so much wisdom. And what a lovely way to kind of end the note today with your words. Tomorrow we have a packed, amazing day full of wonderful speakers such as Dr. Sachidananji Joshi, who's going to be talking on nature and its connect in the Indian culture. And also we have the president of ICCS, Shekhar Patel, who will be joining us tomorrow as well. I'd like to thank all the speakers we've had today. It's been wonderful hearing about your journey, your traditions, different parts of the world where you're still restoring this. It's been really inspiring. We have the next European and African conference starting in 2 hours. So that's UK time at 10 o'clock, where it would be lovely to have some of you join us there as well. We've got different ancient traditions from across Europe that's going to be presenting their rituals and traditions there. So it'd be nice for you to join us there. Otherwise, tomorrow we look forward to seeing you at the same time at 10 o'clock for India, Bhutan, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia at 12 o'clock, and Philippines at 1 o'clock. So look forward to seeing you all on the same link tomorrow. Namaste.